Imagine this. You are a force of nature, a lighthouse in a stormy sea. You hold your power not by chasing, not by pleading, not by bending to anyone's schedule, but by standing in the fullness of your own life. When you value yourself, when you prioritize your growth, something extraordinary happens. Others can't help but notice. Here's the secret. Avoidants are wired to chase what feels slightly out of reach. They crave the freedom they cannot have. And when you are fully immersed in your purpose, living a life so vivid and meaningful, you naturally create that magnetic pull. You don't need to manipulate guilt or demand attention. The universe aligns, and suddenly they find themselves thinking about you more than they ever thought possible. Distance isn't punishment, it's power. It's your declaration that your joy, your purpose, your time is sacred, and this sacredness compels attention. The more complete you are in yourself, the more irresistible you become, not just for avoidance patterns, but for anyone who values authenticity. Remember, every time you focus on your evolution, your passions, your spiritual growth, you send a message louder than words ever could. You are not chasing them. They are drawn to the energy you emanate. Your absence is not emptiness. It is gravity, pulling them back to you again and again. Step into that energy. Fill your days with learning, loving, creating, and thriving. Let your life be so bright, so engaging, so full that your presence lingers in their mind long after you've left the room. And as they think, as they wonder, as they begin to realize the depth of what they are missing, they will see you as a force they cannot ignore. This is not about control. It is about embodying power, presence, and purpose. When you walk in your wholeness, when you honor yourself above all else, you do not chase. You attract. You magnetize. You create longing without effort. And in this truth, the avoidant cannot stop thinking about you. Not because you demanded it, but because you became someone unforgettable. Your presence is the most powerful asset you have, yet most people underestimate it. When you truly value your presence, you begin to recognize that your time, energy, and attention are sacred resources. Every thought you think, every action you take, and every word you speak contributes to the energy you project into the world. People, whether they realize it or not, are constantly sensing your energy, your self-respect, and your belief in your own worth. When you carry yourself with unwavering self-value, others can't help but notice. They feel the difference between someone who is centered, grounded, and whole versus someone who is constantly seeking validation, approval, or attention. The subtle distinction is magnetic. It draws people in without effort because it signals confidence, independence, and emotional strength. Valuing your presence means you refuse to diminish yourself to fit someone else's expectations or desires. You stop bending over backward to please others, to chase after fleeting approval, or to overcompensate for fear of being left out or forgotten. Every decision you make, every boundary you set reflects your commitment to yourself. You begin to see that your energy is not disposable. It is precious, and it deserves to be treated as such. When you operate from this mindset, even the people who tend to avoid emotional closeness or resist attachment find themselves drawn to you. They sense your groundedness, your emotional stability, and the silent power in your self-respect. This doesn't mean arrogance or detachment from humanity. It means embodying authenticity. Embodying authenticity. When you honor your presence, you honor your emotions, your intellect, and your unique gifts. You step fully into the light of who you are, and by doing so, you create a ripple effect. Others notice it even subconsciously because humans are naturally attracted to strength and clarity. When you are fully present in your own life, people are drawn to the energy you emit. Your confidence, your calm, your self-assurance, and your unwavering alignment with your values. Valuing your prayer essence also transforms the way you engage with others. Instead of being needy, reactive, or desperate for attention, you engage from a place of choice. You participate in interactions because you want to, not because you have to. You speak, act, and show up with intention, which amplifies your magnetic effect. People feel your power not through grand gestures, but through subtle cues. The way you carry yourself, the steadiness of your gaze, the clarity of your voice, and the authenticity of your words. Every moment of presence becomes a declaration that you are complete, worthy, and unshakable. Ultimately, valuing your presence is about reclaiming your power. It is the first step toward becoming someone unforgettable, someone whose life is full, vibrant, and impossible to ignore. When you invest in yourself this way, you don't just attract people, you inspire them to see value, respect, and authenticity in themselves as well. Emotional detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about mastering the art of inner freedom and self-mastery. It's the ability to remain centered, grounded, and unshaken, even in the face of emotional intensity or uncertainty. When you practice emotional detachment, you stop giving away your energy to circumstances, people, or reactions that do not serve your highest good. Instead, you create a space of calm clarity within yourself, where your emotions are recognized, honored, and consciously managed, rather than dictated by the behavior of others. This kind of detachment is magnetic because it signals emotional strength. People are instinctively drawn to those who are self-contained, composed, and emotionally independent because it reflects stability and inner power that most are secretly craving. For individuals who tend to avoid emotional intimacy, emotional detachment works like a powerful attractor. When someone senses that you are not chasing, pleading, or over-investing in their attention, it triggers curiosity and respect. They notice that your world does not revolve around them, and that your happiness, purpose, and fulfillment exist independently of their presence. This is not manipulation, it is mastery. It is living in such a way that your energy is not contingent upon approval or response from others. Instead, you are fueled by your own passions, goals, and sense of purpose, which naturally makes your presence irresistible. Emotional detachment communicates one simple yet profound truth. You are whole on your own, and anyone who wishes to enter your life must meet you in your fullness rather than expecting to control or define it. Practicing emotional detachment also means embracing boundaries without guilt or hesitation. It means knowing when to engage, when to step back, and when to simply observe. As awareness transforms every interaction as it prevents you from becoming reactive, overinvested, or attached to outcomes that are beyond your control. By maintaining this balance, you create an energy that is both safe and intriguing, a presence that invites connection yet never demands it. People who are used to avoiding deep emotional engagement feel challenged and drawn to this kind of stability because it mirrors what they secretly long for but fear to pursue. Detachment is not a withdrawal from life. It is an expansion into higher emotional intelligence. It allows you to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, to love fully without losing yourself, and to engage authentically without losing yourself, and to engage authentically without desperation. Your calm, measured responses become a beacon of clarity in the storm of human emotions. People notice the difference between someone who reacts compulsively and someone who responds from a place of centered power. That difference is magnetic. Ultimately, emotional detachment empowers you to step into your own sovereignty. It signals to others that you are not dependent on validation, approval, or constant attention. In doing so, you awaken a profound sense of curiosity and desire in those who encounter you. They cannot stop thinking about you. Not because you chase them, but because you have mastered the art of being fully present in yourself while allowing others the space to end. Address your value. Detachment creates longing not by force, but by the quiet, steady, undeniable power of your independence. Consistent self-improvement is the ultimate expression of personal power. It is the practice of investing in yourself every single day, in ways that expand your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. When you commit to growth, you are sending a clear message to the world that you are not static, you are not defined by the limitations of your past, and you are continuously evolving into a stronger, wiser, more magnetic version of yourself. People are instinctively drawn to those who are in motion, those who are striving, learning, and mastering themselves, because growth creates energy that is both vibrant and contagious. Consistent self-improvement transforms your presence into a living force, one that captivates attention without any need for manipulation or control. True self-improvement is holistic. It isn't just about reading books or attending seminars. It's about creating a lifestyle that nurtures your intellect, strengthens your body, and elevates your emotional intelligence. It is the deliberate act of replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones, embracing challenges as opportunities, and consistently pushing past comfort zones. When you invest in yourself in this way, your energy shifts. You become someone who radiates confidence, competence, and purpose. You stop seeking validation from others because your own growth fuels your sense of self-worth. And this independence is magnetic to avoidance or anyone who is naturally drawn to strength and vitality because it creates a sense of respect and fascination. Self-improvement is also a practice in consistency. One-off efforts or sporadic bursts of energy will not create the kind of lasting magnetism that draws people in. When you show up for yourself daily, whether through learning, physical discipline, creative expression, or spiritual practice, you are building an invisible aura of strength and resilience. It communicates that you are committed, capable, and unstoppable. Avoidants and others who fear emotional closeness cannot resist the pull of someone who is clearly building a life of significance, a life that does not rely on anyone else to define its value. The momentum of consistent self-improvement naturally creates intrigue, admiration, and longing because you are living proof that true attraction begins with inner mastery. Every step of growth also deepens your sense of purpose. Purpose fuels passion, and passion is magnetic. When your days are filled with intentional action, meaningful connections, and continuous learning, your energy becomes a beacon. People are drawn to this light because it reflects vibrancy, vitality, and alignment with something greater than mere survival. The person who is evolving daily cannot be ignored because their presence challenges others to grow, aspire, and step into their own potential. Ultimately, consistent self-improvement is about becoming unforgettable through action, presence, and energy. It allows you to attract without effort, to magnetize without demand, and to inspire without intention. When you are constantly evolving, when you are relentlessly committed to becoming your best self, your life becomes a living testament to possibility, strength, and independence. And in that space, others cannot stop thinking about you, not because you pursued them, but because you became someone extraordinary, someone who embodies growth, purpose, and unstoppable energy. Selective communication is a subtle, yet extraordinarily powerful tool for cultivating respect, intrigue, and attraction. It is the practice of choosing when, how, and with whom you engage rather than responding impulsively or giving your attention indiscriminately. In a world where most people are constantly available, constantly reacting, and constantly seeking validation through messages, calls, and social interactions, practicing selective communication sets you apart. It communicates an unspoken truth. Your time, energy, and presence are valuable, and you do not give them away lightly. When you make your engagement intentio, now you create a magnetic presence because people begin to recognize that interacting with you is not automatic. It is a privilege, something they must earn. Being selective in communication is not about playing games or manipulation. It is about self-respect and clarity. It is about showing up in ways that align with your priorities, your values, and your sense of purpose. When you respond with intention rather than impulse, you convey stability, emotional intelligence, and strength. Avoidants, in particular, are wired to notice this because it reflects independence, self-sufficiency, and a life that is full outside of their influence. When they see that you are not always available to fill their emotional gaps or soothe their fears, it sparks curiosity and intrigue. Suddenly, your presence feels more significant because it is not guaranteed, and absence becomes a space of longing. Selective communication also creates a rhythm that enhances your presence. When you alternate between engagement and deliberate pauses, you allow others to appreciate your value rather than taking it for granted. This rhythm mirrors the natural flow of energy in human relationships, where tension and release, presence and absence are necessary for emotional connection to deepen. By not over-communicating, by not always being on call, Emotionally, you create space for others to reflect, to wonder, and to truly notice the impact of your presence. This spacing of attention magnifies your magnetic effect because it transforms ordinary interactions into memorable experiences. Furthermore, selective communication allows you to protect your energy from being drained by distraction, drama, or unnecessary conflict. Every time you choose not to react to trivial demands, petty complaints, or impulsive requests, you reinforce a powerful boundary that your time and emotional bandwidth are sacred. This practice elevates your self-worth in ways that are immediately perceivable to others. They sense that you are someone who is intentional, disciplined, and deeply aligned with your own life, rather than someone who reacts automatically to external pressures. Ultimately, the art of selective communication is about mastery over your presence, energy, and influence. It empowers you to engage fully and meaningfully when it matters, and to withdraw gracefully when it does not. It creates intrigue, fosters respect, and naturally draws people in without forced manipulation or desperation. By cultivating this skill, you become someone unforgettable, someone whose words, attention, and presence carry weight because they are chosen, not demanded. When you communicate selectively, you do not chase. You magnetize. You create longing, not by absence alone, but by showing that your life is so full, purposeful, and aligned that connection with you is a privilege worth thinking about, anticipating, and valuing. Mystery and intrigue are among the most powerful tools of human attraction, yet they are often misunderstood. Mystery is not about deception or secrecy for manipulation. It is about creating a presence that is rich, layered, and compelling, so that others are naturally drawn to explore, understand, and value you. When you cultivate intrigue, you allow your essence to be fully known only in pieces, revealing depth gradually and intentionally. This sparks curiosity and fascination because humans are wired to seek the unknown, to fill gaps with imagination, and to invest attention in what seems rare or elusive. In relationships, particularly with those who have avoidant tendencies, mystery becomes magnetic because it challenges their habitual patterns of distance while inviting them into a space of emotional and intellectual engagement. Creating mystery begins with self-awareness. It is the understanding that your life, thoughts, and energy are valuable and not meant to be fully displayed to anyone indiscriminately. You recognize that your story, your ambitions, your emotions, and your passions are treasures, and you share them selectively. Each revelation, each story, each gesture becomes a moment of significance rather than routine familiarity. This selective unveiling communicates that you are not a book to be read at once, but a journey to be experienced piece by piece. It draws attention naturally, without effort, because people cannot resist wanting to know more about something that is not entirely accessible. Intrigue also emerges from living a life that is full and vibrant, independent of others' expectations or desires. When you are passionately engaged in your goals, hobbies, friendships, and personal growth, your life itself becomes a source of fascination. Others notice that your energy is not consumed by seeking validation or attention. They see someone whose presence is abundant, whose experiences are rich, and whose mind and spirit are alive. Avoidants, in particular, respond to this energy because it creates a subtle tension between connection and independence. They sense that your world is complete without them, yet they want to be a part of it. Mystery is not manipulation. It is an authentic reflection of a life that cannot be fully contained or easily understood. Language and behavior also contribute to intrigue. You learn to speak with intention, to listen more than you reveal, and to express your thoughts and feelings in measured ways. Small gestures, fleeting glances, thoughtful pauses, or cryptic comments can have a profound effect when delivered from a place of authenticity and self-respect. By not over-explaining, oversharing, or over-justifying yourself, you create a space where curiosity flourishes and others are compelled to engage more deeply to understand you. Ultimately, cultivating mystery and intrigue is about honoring the power of your presence, the value of your energy, and the depth of your individuality. It is about living fully, sharing selectively, and allowing your life to unfold in a way that invites admiration, curiosity, and longing. Mystery draws people in naturally, creates emotional resonance, and ensures that your presence lingers in their minds long after you are gone. It is not an art of deception, it is the art of becoming someone unforgettable, someone whose energy, depth, and authenticity compel attention, respect, and fascination. Respect and fascination. Inner fulfillment is the foundation upon which true attraction, influence, and magnetic presence are built. It is the understanding that your happiness, purpose, and sense of worth are not contingent upon anyone else's attention, approval, or behavior. When you cultivate inner fulfillment first, you step into a life of wholeness where your joy, satisfaction, and energy come from your own choices, passions, and personal growth. This is a radical shift from seeking external validation to embracing internal mastery. When people sense that you are complete on your own, it is a gravitational pull. You become someone whose presence is inherently captivating because your energy is whole, vibrant, and autonomous. Achieving inner fulfillment begins with self-awareness and intentional living. It requires that you know your values, passions, and purpose, and that you invest time and energy in them daily. Whether it's developing your skills, pursuing creative expression, cultivating relationships that uplift you, or connecting with your spiritual essence. These practices reinforce the truth that your life is abundant from within. When your days are filled with purpose and meaning, interactions with others no longer come from a place of neediness or scarcity. They come from choice, strength, and authenticity. People, especially those with avoidant tendencies, are instinctively drawn to this type of presence because it signals independent strength and the subtle challenge of someone who cannot be easily controlled or predicted. Inner fulfillment also transforms the way you respond to relationships. When your happiness is not dependent on someone else's attention or affection, you engage freely, without pressure or fear. You give without expectation and love without desperation, creating an environment where connection is genuine and effortless. This energy is magnetic because it conveys confidence and emotional stability, qualities that attract respect and admiration. The paradox is clear. The more fulfilled you are internally, the more others are drawn to you, longing to be part of your vibrant life, thinking about you even in your absence, and craving the energy that only you can provide. Another key aspect of inner fulfillment is gratitude and appreciation for your own life. When you focus on what you have, what you can create, and who you are becoming, you naturally radiate positivity and abundance. This vibration of joy and purpose is irresistible because it contrasts sharply with dependency, neediness, or insecurity, which tend to repel rather than attract. Inner fulfillment allows you to interact with the world from a position of strength rather than fear, from expansion rather than scarcity. It transforms your presence into a beacon that naturally draws attention, respect, and desire without effort or manipulation. Ultimately, prioritizing inner fulfillment first is about reclaiming your power, sovereignty, and sense of self. It allows you to live fully, love authentically, and attract naturally. When you are internally fulfilled, your life becomes magnetic, your energy irresistible, and your presence unforgettable. Others cannot stop thinking about you, not because you demand it or chase it, but because your vibrancy, wholeness, and joy are contagious. You become a living example of what it means to thrive independently. And in doing so, you magnetize others into your orbit with the effortless pull of a life fully lived. Thank you for your time and trust. It's been a pleasure creating this with you. Wishing you endless inspiration and success. Goodbye for now.